Chelsea and Vince. Today we have two special guests, Emanuel Holloway and Nic Tyler.
Hey everybody.
How y'all doing?
So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it.
Let's get into it.
Straight to the point, right?
Straight to the point.
That's what we here for.
He said, when I did that and one on the court, and Emanuel said, straight to the point.
Yeah, man. Show the love. I said, yeah, that's it.
Straight to it.
So, I mean, first and foremost, what made y'all want to get into this whole starting a traveling basketball program? What was that about?
Well, to be honest with you, you know, coming from Bartow,
yep.
The athletes from a basketball perspective just don't have that platform.
Yep.
You hear about the Trevor Lawrences, the Ronnie Browns. You know, you hear about these kids who are coming from Bartow.
Shout out Cuzzo, Ronnie Brown.
You know, these kids, Rockmart, Cartersville High School, Calhoun, they're football powerhouses right now.
Yep.
But there's kids in our county who don't have that platform, that are basketball athletes that end up in the streets, you know, being locked up, doing stuff that they don't need to be doing, starting in middle school now.
Yeah.
You know, before it was kids are doing it in high school. These kids are starting 5th, 6th, 7th grade.
Very
so,
true.
You know, try to find an outlet for these kids to get off the streets and help them get to the next level of education. So.
Yep.
And both of y'all come from the background of basketball too. I know you played at Woodland, you played at Excel.
Yep.
So that's
Shout out to Wildcats, man.
I know.
Shout out to the
We're Wildcats.
Shout out to Wildcats, Chelsea.
When did you switch over from Cartersville to Excel?
To be honest with you,
What
bro,
made you want to do that?
I bleed 3 different colors
Three
in the
different
county.
colors.
That's the crazy
The loyalty's
thing.
real.
I actually started out as a Wildcat.
Yep.
Then transferred into Cartersville, and then after I transferred to Cartersville, my sophomore year is when I actually transferred into Excel. You know, and to be real, it was one of those things that I needed for my life.
Yep.
Hanging around kids that we weren't doing the right stuff. We're influenced by the wrong people.
Very true.
So at the time, had to take a sacrifice from being the cool kid and make that move to better myself, which taught me how to better relationships with people like E. You know, me and Vince go way back.
Way back.
So you know, it helped me in a good perspective, so to speak.
So you feel like Excel was a better school? It helped you because they say those private school kids be the worst.
Now to be real, it's not
Get straight
it's not
to the point,
I was
Jelly.
about
Trying to get to the
I'm
point,
just
right?
saying.
Before you
Straight to the point podcast.
To be real with you, I mean, it's high school, you know. It's
Yep.
15, 16, 17-year-old kids who are making decisions. You know, we have a choice in front of us, and we can choose path A or path B. It's all about who's around you that's influencing you to make these decisions. Not saying that at a public school you're not getting those same influences, but sometimes their resources are cut short.
$100 bill, y'all.
or their resources are causing them to focus on other things as well, to where they can't give you the right inspiration that kid might need. You know, we deal with a lot of kids in our community, kids outside of the Bartow County community, and we've learned throughout the years that every kid is not the same. You can't coach every kid the same way. You can't inspire every kid the same way.
Yes.
So to us, it's not about grabbing just a handful of these kids and inspiring that handful. It's about motivating and imprinting as many kids as possible, whether it's 2nd graders, 5th graders, 17-year-olds, 23-year-olds. You know, we have kids we influence that we work with. They're still even in college right now that we try to work with on, hey, we need to start giving back to our community.
Yeah.
Shout out, you know, Love Charity.
Yes.
What they had going last week, and you know,
that was a big turnout too.
It's crazy.
It
It was crazy because, you know, like we talked about, that's something our city and our county hasn't had.
Yeah.
And it's not just for the adults, but it's for the kids.
Yes.
The kids are realizing that, hey, there's love in our community outside of just our ethnicity or our age or our gender or whatever. It's about putting love back into our community as a whole. And it starts with every single aspect we can do. Sports, schooling, community drives, everything.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So are y'all both like coaching, or is it how's it? Are you just running, or are you coaching as well? How does that work?
I actually do both. Starting back in 2013 when we started our program, I was doing it as a single team, and then 2 years ago, I actually reached out to Emanuel. He was coming home and training some of the kids that I was also working with as well.
Manuel coming home from overseas.
Yeah,
Shout
shout
out
out,
overseas,
man.
man.
For
That's
real,
a
man.
Tricky little life.
Whew. But
Appreciate the opportunity.
so I actually started hitting Emanuel up. Started hitting up some other coaches that I knew were good influences and role models in our community. Shout out to Quentin Kent. You know,
Yes.
just some of the guys that I knew could influence our community.
Yep.
We're gonna shout out Quentin on his football too.
Trust
Without
the
a doubt.
process, man.
Yes.
They
Without
getting
a
it in.
doubt.
2K is a beast.
Yes.
Solid.
If you haven't heard about it, man, y'all got something coming for the future. But
That's my god brother. So
okay.
yeah,
It's real.
and
Love it,
I'm
real.
my son on this team actually. He was like, I was like, he ain't never played. He's like, bring him on.
Yeah,
That's my nephew.
yeah,
Bring him on. I'm gonna
yeah,
train
nice.
him.
Yeah, you'll get them right.
Without a doubt, and that's something that I looked for when I decided to do this expansion last summer. I looked into people that I knew had the inspiration to lead people on top of also bringing the talent and the competitiveness that we want from our community.
Yeah.
Right now, we live in a generation that it's about being a victim.
Very true.
You know what I'm saying? I don't get the playing time because coach don't like me.
Mm-hmm.
But are you really in the gym getting the time in versus
That's
some
what
of these
I was
other
about to
kids?
Exactly.
You know,
That's
That's my bad.
I was about to say, E made a little video the other day talking about, are you in the lab
Yeah,
as
you
much
gotta
as you
be,
need to
man.
be?
Yep.
Exactly.
You know, and that's just the generation we're at right now. So for us, it's about bringing that, no matter what we do, whether it's school, growing up to be a man, sports, it doesn't matter. We're trying to be the best that we can be every single day. The big thing I teach to my high schoolers right now is we wake up every day, we wash our teeth. We wash our face, we brush our teeth, and we say, how can I be the best me today?
That's it.
Because at the end of the day, everybody wants to be envious. We listen to a lot of rappers. We watch movie stars. We want to be envious. We want to drive the Lambos. We want to have the ice. We want the drip, everything like that.
Drippity.
Right?
But you gotta work to get to that.
Exactly.
You
Gotta
gotta
put
get
in the work.
the sweat gotta drip.
People don't understand it. It's one of those that you have to be cut from a different cloth to truly understand that.
Yep.
Or you have to be inspired by somebody who is that cut of the cloth.
Yep.
So and that was the main resource on what I was trying to do when I did this expansion. But I do actually run the program and I coach a team.
That's good, man.
You still coach at Excel?
I actually just came back this year as the middle school coach. I took a couple years off, joined the Cartersville Middle School program for a little bit. Shout out to the Hurricanes, and then took a year off, did the expansion, and then this year I have decided to join back the Eagle family at the middle school program.
Got it.
That's what's
So,
up.
Emanuel, how was it coming from playing overseas, coming back, and then coaching these younger?
Because
yeah.
your resume speaks for itself.
Yes.
You done been what? Germany, Finland,
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia,
Oh,
Yeah.
everywhere,
Switzerland.
man.
You done did it all.
You got
So
a crazy passport, huh?
Yeah, my passport.
Hold on, before we talk about you coming back coaching, how was it traveling the world doing
Getting to do
something you
something
love?
you love, yeah.
Yes.
Man, it was a blessing. I have to say thank you to everybody in Bartow County because even the ones before me. So I got to give a shout out to everybody. The list isn't too long for me to say my names, but the experience of traveling is powerful. And when you look back over it, it's more powerful than when you're going through it because I looked at it as a job at sometimes you don't want to get up, and that's what we try to tell the kids.
And when you say that, because I remember David Archer hit me up, and he was like, are you interested in playing overseas? And I hit up Emanuel, and I was like, and plus I had a homegirl, she still plays overseas right now. We play AAU together. And I hit up Emanuel, he was like, you got to be dedicated. I know you got kids. You got to be dedicated to do this. Eat, sleep, everything. You going to wake up, go to work. It's like a job. That's what he was
And it's
telling
funny
me.
you say that because I did the same thing. As soon as I got out of, I left high school, went to college. I left college, joined the military. I was in reserve. I was talking to Coach Tobin about going to play overseas. And he gave me your name, and I hit you up, and you told me the exact same thing. You said, you got to live this shit for real.
Yeah.
You got to really
That's
be
what he said.
dedicated.
He said it's a
You
job.
told me the exact same
Yeah,
thing.
they will put you on your head so fast.
Right.
And that was the part that I didn't like, because at the end of the day, the owners own you. That's why they own it.
Exactly.
So that part, but that's like one jalapeno and a pile of great nachos. That's just too hot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So traveling and seeing Italy, I went skydiving out there. That was dope. Being in a place where I never would have went, Finland, getting to eat dinner with different families. That was the part that I remember the most more than anything. I got a lot of buckets and had a lot of terrible games, but it was like, okay, looking back at the relationship, it was fun.
The different people you met and the experience of it all matters more than
Facts.
The
Yes.
relationships you
So
build.
do you plan on going back?
Nah, man.
You done?
you done.
My calling is to be in Bartow
Right here.
County and helping us in so many different avenues and bringing value.
I know you get homesick over there too, man.
Man, it was crazy over there.
Yeah.
Homesick is ridiculous. You try, and it's sad because I had some coping mechanisms that I used so I wouldn't get homesick, and it actually backfired in my life. Trying to block out all the females I was talking to or the family I was talking to, not looking at their videos, and then you start being empty inside. And then that's when I was just like, look, I actually got paid the most one year, and I was the least happiest I ever was.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it's time for me to flip the script. So.
Yeah, that's true.
So what made you want to be a part of this Georgia Grizzly program?
Man, I gotta thank Nick, man, because he just hit me up, and he was I was lost when I retired. Cause basketball was my
that
was
you
my
live it,
woman,
yeah,
you know
you
what I'm
live
saying?
it. Like you said, you had to live it.
I had to live it. That was the love of my life. Literally, I put the seatbelt on the basketball on the way to LA Fitness at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So when Nick hit me up, it was just like, well, I think I was staying I think I might have been staying next to you at the time. Nick hit me up, and I was just like, shoot. And I saw the kids, and I think it was a close game. No, it was a practice.
Yeah, we was practicing.
And I just listened to Nick, and I was like, yeah, Nick, okay, Nick, all right. Then I went to a game. I saw them boys battling, and I'm juiced. I'm like, yeah.
I gotta get in there now.
He was a student section by himself that game, boy.
Yeah, I was juiced. And I just seeing the kids with that passion, the fire, that just juices me up.
Yeah. You was also doing like doing something where you were like helping like scholarships and what is it like you had hit me up about like putting money aside, helping with your kids' scholarships and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, at the time I was doing a program called SAGE. It was helping set money aside. But that was part of my financial advising, just letting people be aware of how to really start putting money aside in the best vehicles to be prepared, because any dollar you have during school, you guys went to college too, is for books or whatever.
Shout out to the ramen.
Yeah, shout out to ramen and egg, ramen with the hot sauce.
Ramen with the hot sauce.
Hot sauce. Yeah, but
yes.
So I still do that. That's part of everything that we have going on. Just to when parents want to sit down, then we want to make sure that, because without the parents, the kids can't do nothing.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So our biggest component is education at the end of the day.
And speaking of college, how was the college experience for both of you? Because I know you went to Illinois State. You went to Lee.
Yeah, I went.
Did you ever play with Taquan while he was
Actually,
there?
the funny thing about it is me and Taquan were actually roommates.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Cool.
So, a lot of people don't know this, but we both decided to go to Lee together.
Okay.
Even though we were at separate schools in the county.
That's how me and Rope was.
Yeah. We played together since middle school and everything, and I went to actually an open tryout, and the coach had asked me about. He's like, man, I heard about this kid from Cartersville. Sent me some video named Taquan. I said, yep. So I said, after that, I came home. I called him. I was like, look, there's another tryout in a couple weeks. I want you to come with me.
Yeah.
We went together, and it was actually, a great experience for us.
Yeah.
Granted, he redshirted, our freshman year, but it was a great experience for both of us to mature, to get out of our county. One of the biggest downfalls I feel like is the people who have the opportunity to get out don't get out. You become your best person when you're away from where you started.
Yep.
Then you bring that aspect back to where you come from, and you spread the love and
you build.
Exactly, and that's how you better any community. That's that's how Atlanta gets big. That's how Cobb County is now. Everything. People are getting out and they're coming back to their homes. But it was crazy, man. It was even at college. Basketball becomes a job.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we try to teach our kids in our program is it's not that you're realistically a student athlete when you get to college. Yeah, they're worried about your grades and everything like that.
You better get a bucket.
But at the end of the day, if you have practice and you have class at the same time, you are at practice. If not, you don't get the minutes you feel like you deserve, or eventually you start slacking in whatever it is that you're not doing right, and then they'll just replace you. At the end of the day, there's another kid just as talented as you. Exactly. But what do you bring that's different? Are you that kid that goes out and grinds, not just on the court but in the classroom?
Yeah.
Because your coaches are seeing this as, hey, this kid's saving me money. I don't have to give him a basketball scholarship if he's getting the full financial aid.
Exactly.
Which is another thing we preach on. And we just, it was a whole different kind of atmosphere. Makes you grow up. Even when you're 17 years old, 18 years old. I lived on campus the first year, and then my sophomore year I was off campus.
Yeah.
You know, paying bills, doing everything. So it taught me responsibility.
Yeah.
It taught me to mature. You know, at the times I wanted to be, hey, let's go to the parties, But then you start realizing, hey, this is what it comes down to.
Exactly.
It's ball. It's sleep. Actually, you wake up. It's ball, school, ball, nap, dinner, ball.
Yeah.
Then you go to sleep and your day goes over again. That's realistically
You ain't got
what it
time
is.
to party.
That's
No,
real.
ain't.
I found time. I ain't even
Yeah.
I found the time. I found it.
Yeah. So how was your college experience then?
It was
Yeah.
love, man.
Yeah.
I partied.
Yeah.
He sounded like Ty Dean last week.
Oh, yeah.
Ty say,
Ty
they
said-
called me
Yeah.
to party.
Yeah,
for
Ty
it.
said-
They called me to
Same
get that thing lit.
Yeah.
They called me to get that thing lit.
So if either one of you could describe your basketball career in one word to the youth, to the kids that you're coaching, what would that word be?
Relentless.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. Relentless. I wasn't the most talented person. You saw me at Auburn Street at, I guess, around 20, from 22 to 27, I was a dog. But whenever I stepped out of here, I was amongst dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So I was relentless.
And the funny thing about that, when you say that, it's funny because when we were down at the gym last weekend, we saw you playing. We was like, this ain't fair. You
Yeah.
could tell this man been over there playing
Man, I
with
was
damn
horrible.
NBA players.
I was horrible that weekend. This bad week, I
But
was
you
so
can
bad.
still tell
Yeah.
the difference between
I
you
couldn't
and
feel
everybody else on the
Yep,
court.
it's
You
like
know,
riding
you
a
can
bike.
tell
I
these
feel-
people.
I
I
ride a
feel-
bike, you
see, I felt like
Motivation
a,
when you got on the
Exactly.
bro, I
team.
felt like a fish out of water. I felt like I couldn't do my step back, couldn't shoot. I was
But
like,
it was like, this ain't fair. Emmanuel know what he out here doing.
it was fun though, man. It was fun.
For me, I'd probably have to say inspirational.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is I come from the bottom. I come from the projects. I come from a single parent
We all
family.
do.
Ball was my way out.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for ball, I don't know where I would be at.
Yep.
And to hear my story, I came home from school, and the first year I started coaching, I was homeless. You know, people don't know that
Yeah.
I was homeless, so you had to grind. It was so I went from that, and in 5 years, I told my wife at the time, in 5 years, I will have a high quality basketball
That's
program.
tough to do because the program that we have,
That's dedication.
we don't make money. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So you doing that out of the kindness of your heart to bring value to the community.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So
It's one of those, you know, every dollar we get goes to the kids.
Yeah.
To me, it's not about doing it for the money. You know, there's a lot of money in travel basketball right now.
it is.
A lot of money.
See
But
the
at,
websites.
but at the end of the day, what kind of relationships are you building? What are you installing in your kids? Are you installing your kids that life is only about a buck? Because when you're gone, your money don't mean nothing.
Exactly.
all that remains is your legacy and what imprint you left in your community, in life, to your family, to your loved ones, to people who might not know you but are hearing about you from other people. What does your story tell?
See, and that's another thing because I play at AAU, and I just went to you went with me. Yeah, we went to my old AAU coach. His daughter was graduating high school. We went out, you know, like it's still family.
Without a
You know
doubt,
what I mean?
without a
You
doubt.
build that relationship.
Yep.
His other daughter, India's having a housewarming in January. We'll be there too. You know what I mean? It's like
It's-
that's family
It's
at
about
this
building
point.
that family
Exactly.
family love, the relationships is the main thing. And you know,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter that y'all go to 3 different schools or y'all do.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're building a relationship that is forever lasting.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that. Your school people, you build a relationship, but eventually once you get older, you
Y'all
hit your
branch
10
out.
exactly hit your 10-year reunion, 20-year reunion.
Mhm.
Some of the people that you were best friends with in high school, you ain't talked to in 20 years.
You don't know
Yep.
nothing about what they
you
got
know,
going on.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. But the people that you grew up playing travel ball with, because when you are doing travel ball, you're together from.
Shout out to Etowah Stars. I had to say that, man.
Yeah.
Man, there was a
Shout
lot
out to
of them. I say
Etowah
Etowah
Stars,
Stars, the Georgia Ballers with
Georgia
June
Ballers,
Bug.
yeah.
I say
man, I
June
remember
Bug had
them
us
days.
going.
And
You know,
June
shout
Bug, man.
out to Hot Rod.
Did you hear about the
he-
Bartow Bullets? Bartow Bullets.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of them. Shout out to Coach Cromwell. You know, Cromwell put a nice little program together out of our county. So we've had
So
pieces.
since we shouting out coaches, Shout out Coach Tobin.
Everybody
Tobin.
knows that guy.
Tobin that switched over and left us and went to Cartersville.
Yeah.
She got the pleasure of meeting Coach Tobin, having him for what was it,
Gym
gym
coach.
Yeah.
So-
It's a lot of them though that's come through our county that have paved the way for
Yeah.
guys like myself now, and even guys who don't come back and coach. You know,
Yeah.
guys that are becoming professionals in their workforce, or they're owning their own business, or they're starting nonprofits like Circle of Advancement and stuff like that. You know, there's many people that are being pushed the right way, not just basketball, but coaches in general. People who are not even coaches that are just mentoring. You know, shout out to Deck. You know, a lot of guys that are still reaching out to the youth to show them that there's somebody there that cares.
And that's really why I respect y'all, and I follow y'all a lot. I know I followed you probably the most out of anybody when it came to basketball, because like you said earlier, we didn't have that Georgia Grizzlies program, that exposure that we really had that back in the day. We had AAU teams, but we didn't have that.
For the closest team for
and
us.
then you got the social media now.
Because that's what we
You know what I'm
played.
saying?
Bumping
So
them. That's
with
brand
that,
new
we
for them.
didn't have none of that. So for y'all to be able to get to where y'all got, and you know what I'm saying, turn around and then give back and help, that's crazy. Like you said, you didn't have that, and you still got to where you was.
We started AAU and
I
Marietta.
respect that.
Right.
Yeah.
There was no Lake Point
It
when we was
wasn't.
growing
Yeah,
up.
no.
None of
Man,
that.
to get high quality tournaments for us, you're driving to Swanee.
Oh yeah, that's
You're
what
driving.
that was it.
You
Swanee, that's what you had to go.
driving to Swanee. You're driving down to the Worldwide Sports in Orlando.
Yeah, I
What
was
was
just
it,
about to
the-
say
the
that.
run and
You
shoot
we
down
went to the
there?
run and
Worldwide
shoot.
Sports.
Shout out to run and shoot,
Georgia
man.
Ballers, we
Couldn't
went to
shoot
Georgia
too high at
Ballers.
run and
Like,
shoot.
Yes.
You're not. There wasn't what we have around us now. You know,
Yes.
with Lake Point being 10 minutes down the street from us.
I'm so glad we
And-
got that.
Man, amen.
Yeah, you know, there's so many more, like I said, other platforms that are here now that we didn't have. That, not saying that we can help them better, but there's stuff that we can give to them that will help our community, that they can also give back to
We
us.
can
that
even
helps.
get the bottom gym back up and going for
Yeah.
basketball
Without-
games, because last weekend was a big
Man.
inspiration
Without a
to
doubt.
Wasn't
get
it?
that back. Yes, to
Without
get
a
it back
doubt.
I'm telling you,
going.
especially like I said with this social media, man,
Yeah.
we can get it started anywhere now. And that's
Yeah.
and I personally I like the social media when it comes to certain things, like as far as the sports and getting exposure. I love it. So I want to know, how do y'all feel about it with the whole everything being based on social media now, and how easy it is? Like you said, when you was back then, you didn't have that to just
Yeah.
get your name out there and then get
Exactly.
put on.
Yeah.
So
And
how?
you see Emanuel posting videos.
Yeah.
and
So
doing
how do
his
you
thing.
feel about the social media thing now, as far as kids getting on like that now?
And that's the thing. I believe there's new levels, new devils, of course.
Yep.
So, you know, but I believe if we're active in our kids' lives, then you actually have an opportunity for them to be branding themselves and marketing themselves to coaches. Like now, it's a lot easier for me because now I could just tag a coach's name to a player that I deal with
Facebook,
on Instagram or Facebook, because they follow me, I follow them, so now I'm being a resource.
Exactly.
So that's good. And then I remember reading the article, and they was like, man, they say kids are non-sociable. Kids are actually more sociable
More
than
social.
because they can talk to 20, 40, 50, 1,000 people at
At
one time, one click. So I love it, you know.
And I'm like E. You know, I think it's something that if we would have had it back when we were kids, it would have been amazing, because it's like he said, it's that much easier. You know, we have kids right now who are second graders, third graders who are nationally ranked in
That's
their
what I was
class.
gonna ask. Have y'all got any kids yet that's already getting that
we
exposure?
actually have a kid on our fourth grade team. Shout out to G Flex, Grant Robich. He is actually went to a exposure camp in San Diego last year. Finished out as number 2 point guard in his class. Number 3
Look, man.
player overall in his class. For those of y'all who don't know Grant, if y'all follow me, if y'all follow E, we share his videos all the time. We call him G Flex because he's the littlest guy on the court, but he's gonna end win you, and every time he's flexing on you when he gets to end.
Yeah.
He brings swag to our team.
Drippity.
Oh, without a doubt, man. You know, we have some other kids in our high school. Shout out to Zaylin Chaney. Shout out to Jalen Johnson. Dawson. Shout out to Dawson Wilkins. We have a lot of kids
Shout
in our
out to
program.
Quinn squad. Them boys go football to basketball. They go get it in.
Without a doubt, you know, shout out to, you know, Coach Q. Last year, he took our second grade team and actually played second and third grade ball. Finished third grade at nationals.
Chefed it up.
Finished third at nationals.
Chefed it up.
Their second grade team actually brought home the rings as national champs. So we have some high quality players on our team. We've got shout out to Bray, driving all the way from Buford. Shout out to Davion driving out from Cedartown. You know, we have a lot of kids coming from a lot of places.
That brings me to a point. Sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Brings me to a good point to piggyback off the question about social media. So also on the flip side, it becomes even more tougher for kids because now you can see what other kids are doing.
Exactly.
So now, like, because I had these tapes when I was a kid. It was called Better Basketball. You doing these little
Yes.
Like, I'm getting it. But you don't see anybody else getting better. You don't know. You just gotta gauge it.
Man, it's that one little girl on social media.
Yeah. So now you like,
you see that, you like, you get that pressure. That's pressure.
I be tagging him like she gonna eat you up, girl.
But that's also the evolution of the game.
Yeah.
You know, it comes to these coaches like Handle Life and Coach Rob out of the Atlanta area.
Rob.
That, you know,
shout out Coach Rob, man. He got my toes right with the
without a doubt. You know, shout out Coach Nickerson, J Mac down at Sandy Creek.
Yeah.
They put in these drills and these skill stations and coaching techniques that us as coaches, we learn from them. That, you know, is at a whole different kind of rate than what we were doing.
Kelvin McConnell.
Well, you know, there's a lot of guys that are putting in these new ways to train yourself and putting in 2-ball drills, 3-ball drills, shooting techniques, you know, working all crazy kind of stuff that makes the kids nowadays games so high if they're truly working.
There's a lot of subtle nuances that you can bring a kid that they can pick up once you know it well enough. You give it to them at a young age that have them more advanced with the concepts that you be like, dang.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: do y'all work with kids that haven't played before?
Yeah. With y'all having such an advanced program,
team,
when the kids come out to try out, that's first year playing. How do you?
We actually have a training. You know, that's our other businesses. We do training, so we'll train them at a young age. And the beautiful thing about basketball is why I loved it is it's gonna talk back to you. And you can see if you working or not. You ain't gotta play no games like, did you call me back? Did you not get in call? No, basketball's gonna do exactly what you said.
You put in work, it's gonna show.
It's gonna show. So you, with the little kids, you could just have them rolling the ball, just get a good feel for it. Or you can then they start dribbling the left hand, start dribbling the right hand. So when it comes to that, if they can't play the travel ball, we start training them.
Yep.
And we still train them throughout the process.
We build our coaching staff and our program off of development. At the end of the day, yes, you can get better as a team, but individually, if you're not getting better, how is your team getting better?
Exactly.
Yep.
You know, and that's one of the things we take pride in. You know, with Quentin, you know, he's a speed and agility coach. So once a week, every team in our program meets together, and they run through speed and agility with him to get their footwork right.
Great.
You know, we do stuff where this year we're collaborating once a week. We're having a straight skill station day where all the players come, so that way they're all interacting, starting from second grade to high school, showing these high schoolers, hey, even though you're not realizing it, there's people watching you.
Yep.
There's eyes always on you in the spotlight, even now that you're just a high schooler.
Yep.
You know, especially in our county, once the basketball name starts popping and the brand starts popping, then people, for an example, like a Trevor Lawrence who plays football, you get all these followers on Instagram, and these kids want to grow their hair like you, and they want your autograph. You know, that kind of stuff happens.
That's a different time. I wasn't trying to do like no other body.
No, I take that back. This was Allen Iverson all day.
Oh yeah, no, but that's different. Now I'm talking about playing against somebody that you. Another high school. I wasn't doing that.
And that
Allen Iverson, I had the answer. I wanted all that. I wanted all of it.
But once again, that goes back to social media.
Yeah.
You know, these kids that are high schoolers now that are 5-star athletes have these
famous.
Zion Williamson.
Yeah. 5-star high school athletes are famous now.
You know, and it's crazy because, you know, they are what are inspiring a lot of these kids nowadays.
Yep.
But outside of what they're seeing you do on the field and on the court, how else are you inspiring them?
That's real.
When they walk out of the house and they're sitting at the bus stop and they're having to deal with bullying, and they're having to deal with...
Or they're bullying.
Yes, or they're dealing with guys sitting on the corner standing trying to sell them drugs. Or kids...
Or getting them to sell drugs.
Exactly, you know.
Or they're NCAA not paying kids, and they getting all this exposure.
Yeah.
So now you got it's a racket.
Yeah.
It is a racket. You got programs who pay. You got why kids want to leave. So now you got all these kids with all these pressures on them that we don't even understand. But you see the Balls Light video, and you be like, that is a straight bone killer.
You not even know. Yep.
Not even know.
Don't know what's going on.
But I asked y'all that question because I'm slacking as a parent that grew up playing basketball and everything. My 8-year-old, he wants to play football and basketball, and I just haven't. I'm always busy. I'm just like, oh, we'll play next year, and I haven't had him get any training, or his uncle ain't trying to help him. I'm just like, so I was like,
naturally athletic too.
He really is.
He's one of them kids
like,
you can tell that
man,
once he get out there, he
sit down on the floor,
my
push
kid
yourself
doing
up.
backflips at 4-3 years old.
He started doing backflips at like 6 years old, I think.
Yep.
Like he got some crazy upper strength or whatever. Like he's naturally athletic, but he has this mentality like we went rock wall climbing. He's halfway there, but he see the other kids ahead of him, so he just gives up. And I'm like, you got to get out of that. You have it. You could have came back and beat him.
And it's crazy.
He lets it get in his head.
I understand that because I actually got 2 little ones myself. My oldest one is actually 5 right now, and my youngest one is 2. My 5-year-old, when he was in my wife, he was when I started doing travel ball. You know, we used to go to gyms when he was a baby. He'd sleep through the horns, whistles, squeaks, everything. And parents are crazy. They're like, how is he sleeping?
No.
He's sleeping. You know, that's what he was used to. He was used to it. And but you know, my guys growing up, my first year the first couple years I had my team, they said, Coach, what you gonna do if Bryson don't play basketball? We're gonna do whatever he wants to do. Exactly. We're gonna get him the help and the tutoring and the training for him to be great in whatever it is that he wants to do. So my oldest one is actually, you know, the Spider-Man superhero Power Ranger kind of guy. And the crazy thing is my 2-year-old is the basketball guy right now. As I'm walking out the house to leave, he's sitting in the kitchen dribbling the basketball, shooting on his Tykes goal, and actually shooting on the higher set on his goal. So to us, it's not about if you've been there, if you haven't been there. It's about using the skills and the talents that God blessed us with to bless somebody else.
One of the things I would say to that is, and I had just had this conversation at my training session yesterday, the day before. I was talking to the mother of a kid, and she was kind of taken back because she didn't want the kid to be discouraged of playing with older ones. And one thing from my experience that I learned is you got to be willing to make mistakes when you're practicing your game, and get these kids to understand that earlier, that training and basketball is you build your confidence by playing through the mistakes. So when you're working on your handles, I just give handles as an example. You're pounding the ball as hard as you can. Pounding it between the legs. And if you haven't lost the ball like 10, 15 times in the first 20 days, then you're not getting any better. And then you'll start feeling yourself to where you can dribble it as hard as you can, as fast as you can, and that thing's not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's getting that mindset with the whole process of playing basketball. Because if you watch a Steph Curry or you watch them, they make a mistake. He'll do a pass that's lazy, that goes in the stand, and come in right back and shoot a 3.
Exactly.
And that's what you want your kid to understand is like, if they're losing, it's fine. That's cool. Guess what? You get right back out there, and you the same cooker man you was before.
The only way you can fix a problem is by recognizing you have a problem.
Very true.
You can't recognize you have a problem until you're pushed out of your comfort zone. That goes into anything. You know, when we're doing our lessons and we even with our 2nd, 3rd graders, we train them like they're in college. The reason is
get them right.
Yeah, you know, people bust during pressure. Pipes bust during pressure.
Make diamonds.
See, he's in 2nd grade. I'm like, man, we gotta get you out there before it's too late.
And the day it's never too late. You know, it's one of those that basketball is one of those that, especially being a naturally athletic kid, they pick up sports and different things quicker than normal kids. The ones that are a little bit harder to work with are the kids who have no aspiration to be athletic, who rather just play the video games, Fortnite it, YouTube it, you know, and that's the generation we're going into now because kids are getting paid for that.
You ain't lying.
You know what I mean?
On YouTube making 5 figures,
and
60,000, 50,000 a month.
It's crazy, you know, because I can't be mad at the kids. I can't be mad at the kids because that's what the brands that are being pushed to them right now.
That's what it is right now.
When we grew up, we didn't have all the PlayStation 1 when it first came out. Everybody thought the world was coming to an end. You know, but before that it was sticks, rocks, basketball.
I thought Game Day 97 was like that.
Oh,
you know?
What?
The Mortal Kombat. Terrell Davis, he
man, the Sonic, and that's the thing is but the technology is so advanced now that it makes it to where some kids are harder to reach to, but those like he said, are the ones that they know that this is for me or this isn't for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I like that you said. No matter what they want to do, support them.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking to my son the other day. I'm like, Landon, you gonna play basketball this year? Yeah. He like, nah. And everybody know basketball is my heart. Like
Without a doubt.
Come on, man. That's everybody know me know basketball. And I'm like,
here.
you don't play basketball this year? He like, nah. I think I want to play golf.
Yeah,
And I'm like, at first I'm like, at first I'm like, golf. I'm like, you ain't never seen no. And I mean, like, I don't know how to play no golf. I say, hey, but it is what it is. That's what you want to do, man. That's what you want to do.
And that's what
I
it is.
call
And
Darrell
that's
Morris.
where a lot of people like me who grew up without a father figure, when it comes to my kids and when I train kids, I look at them as if they're my kids.
Yeah.
What would I do if my kid was in this situation right now?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And to me, you have to make sure that you're going the extra mile, because if you're forcing something on them, that's what causes, especially if you have a son, fathers and sons relationships to break, because they feel like their fathers or their parents are pressuring them to do this. But at the end of the day, you're your own person. Yes, you come from me and everything like that, but long term, you have your own thought process. You have your own way of thinking. You have your own likes, your own hobbies. So to me, I can't downgrade you because this is what you want to do.
Once you make it fun for them, though, once it's fun and they see themselves learning, that's what I've been able to experience with the last couple of kids that we've been training. They be running in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
They running that gym. They running.
And even with our camera woman, that's my daughter. She goes to Cartersville Middle, and she went out for the basketball. Well, I kind of pressured her a little bit, like, you got it in you. Why not play basketball? And she went out the first year. She's like, Mom's making me. Well, then she wanted to do it again. This year, after trying out the first year, she didn't make it. She's like, I want to do it again.
Yeah,
But she started out with soccer. She loves soccer.
Footwork like that.
Yeah, so she loves soccer. So
Yeah.
this year she's like, she did track last year too, and she loved track. So she's like, I'm gonna either do soccer or track this year. So I was like, all right, whatever you want to do, like.
It's one of those things though that as a parent, they need that initial motivation to go, because a lot of kids. I have a nephew on our 4th grade team right now, and he is just like me. Growing up, it's one of those, I'm not doing it unless I know for a fact I'm going to be good at it. And that's how a lot of kids in this generation is I don't want to get laughed at. Even if this is the first time I've ever done it,
get laughed at.
I don't want to get laughed at. I don't want to be the joke
on
on the team. I don't want to be the joke in the school because I was airballing layups. That doesn't matter. At the end of the day, like I said, for you to be better, you have to get out your comfort zone.
That's what made me grind
That's
hard.
my 8-year-old too.
I was always the shortest, so everybody laughed at me. So it was, you know what I'm saying. But I went out there and I grind.
So
I'm one
after
of the
they
best
get
to
that
do it.
initial push, they either fall in love with it and have fun doing it, or they don't. And then that's when you weaver out what they want to do and what they don't want to do. And that's how kids are nowadays. That's how my oldest one is. He at first was, okay, I want to be a ninja. I want to be a soccer player. Bruh, for real though, shout out. He's going to be a future barber. My boy didn't got the clippers and tried to cut his hair twice. So, but yeah,
where you get that mohawk from? He's like, well, we had to innovate real quick, but
improvise.
Improvise. I know. I'm over here trying to copy what he said.
Improvise for a second.
Imperate.
Yeah. No, that's what it is, man. You give them that initial push, and then they decide if it's something they like or they don't.
See, my 3-year-old at the game last weekend, they're crying in the bleachers. I'm like, what's wrong with you? I want to play with them. I'm like, do you see how big they are? Like, you can't play with them. But he loves like playing basketball and football.
That.
He's like, I want to get out there and play football. My mom's like, baby, they're not playing football. They're playing basketball. But he's like, but I want to dribble the ball. And like, but you got to get the games right.
Right. And that's one of those things though that once they do find a little bit of interest in it, you have to, for them to be successful, you have to put them around people who can help them be inspired to do it more. And that comes from whether it's a coach, a family member, a family friend, or whatever. For them to be great in whatever it is, we have to learn from a higher knowledge.
So how do you juggle the parenthood, marriage, and all that with your basketball career? I know.
So I'm gonna be honest
I know
with
a couple
you.
of my high school coaches talking about their wife trying to divorce them and everything.
Hey, Lord, it's like that.
They give them more
because you give so much love
to these
what
players
you're doing.
and what you're doing. You ain't even.
To be real, I have to thank my wife for it, and I'm gonna be 100% honest with you because when we first got together, like I said, I was homeless. I was at the bottom of the bottom. So once I started opening up to her and I started telling her these are what my goals are. To me, there's a difference between dream and goals, which is a different conversation, but these are what my goals are. This is what I want to accomplish as a man for myself. And she also comes from a sports family. She was a softball player. She played college softball. Our schools were in the same conference when we were in college and we first got together. So she backs a lot of what I do. When I first started my program, for 5 of the 6 years I've been coaching, I haven't had an assistant coach. When I called Emanuel, that was the first year that I had a true assistant coach.
That, brother.
and that's what it was. That was the first time I've reached out to people, but none of them had the drive and the passion. Once I spoke to E on what my purpose was for our program, and he bought into it, and that's what allowed us to become where we are now as a program. But it's my wife, man. She come to every single game sometimes.
She's a huge supporter.
She is, and guess what? On the way home, we're sitting in the car. She's the one I'm venting to. She's the one.
Your mom too, though.
Shout out to Lee. She supports me.
100%.
She with me being a basketball player from the age of 4. My mom has a pretty good IQ.
Yeah.
My wife being with me now for almost 8 years, she has a good IQ. So when I talk to her about stuff, she knows my thought process on how I try to train kids. So that helps me a lot. It also helps, like I said, my youngest one and even my oldest one. My oldest one loves being in the gym. He actually has a severe case of ADD and ADHD, to where mentally he can't focus on being an athlete right now, which is something we're working on as a family. But he loves being in the gym. When I go to practice, he fights you nail and tooth to go to the gym with you. And there's times that I can't take him, and it breaks my heart. But it helps. It makes it easier for me. My wife understands what the long-term goal is for what we're doing with our program. She understands that we're sacrificing a lot of our time, a lot of our resources, a lot of our money. There's some years I lose money. There's been years that I've lost money with our program. But to me, like I said, it's not about the money. She understands that all it takes is for that one kid to go and play professionally overseas, or go and become the CEO of a company, or go and do whatever. To me, if we coach 1,000 kids, and out of those 1,000 kids, we save one kid from being in the streets, being on drugs, being in prison, being 6 feet under the ground, we've done our purpose. We filled our purpose as men, and that's what we take pride in for our program, because like he said, we don't get money. We don't pay. Right now we can't pay our coaches. But the way we look at it is God see those who give good, and those who give good reap benefits of good back in return. And that's one of the biggest things that I go through when it comes to my family. My wife knows that my first love was basketball. Actually, my first love was my mom, but behind mom is basketball. And without basketball, I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Very true.
And that's just anything. My mental state, my health, the people I hang around, the thought process, the way I try to raise my kids. Without the ball in my life, I wouldn't be the same person I am.
Yep.
And it's like I said, with her coming from a sports family, she understands everything to a T.
See, and we kind of like in the same process, because it's like we got the podcast, but it's not really. We enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but it's really for everyone to have a platform to speak on what they have going on, get your word out, promote what you have going. You know what I mean? We come in here, we pay for these sessions so people have that platform. You see what I'm saying? So really we're losing money, but it's the outcome at the end. You know what I mean?
People don't understand that if you invest the right way, coming out of
back.
money,
you get a return, you get an ROI eventually.
Without a doubt, it's one of those, the people, you scratch my back, I scratch your back kind of thing.
Yep.
Because then once it builds those relationships, you're able to host other events that allow you to open your brain more and build yourself.
Then you find somebody who believes in what you have going on,
and they invest.
They invest.
Yeah.
Financially, physically, emotionally,
and once
spiritually.
Once it makes sense, you move forward.
Very true. Now you said on the way home from the games, you're venting to your wife. Is she one of those that's be like? Because I know me, and I know just like the Cartersville game, last Wednesday before last. I'm a big sports person, so on the way back, I'm in my husband's ear like, they should have did this. No, we need to work on. Is she one of those too? She be in your ear like that?
It's funny because I get in the car. We walk out the gym. We get in the car. I close the door, and the first thing I say is, "So tell me what you think."
Yep.
And that's how I start. And I do it with E. After E comes and watches plays, or if he's on the sideline with us in the game, I always look at the other perspective first before I go in with how I feel about the situation, because at times we are one way. We see it as a one lane.
Exactly.
So to me, there are opportunities
to
grow, and the way you build the best of something is it's not a dictatorship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, my coaches respect me as a president because I don't run it as a dictatorship. To me, if you have input and you have ideas, I want to hear them.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see if this is something that all of us think as a whole is good. You want the fastest car in the world? It's not going to be all Ford parts.
Yep.
It's not going to be all Chevrolet parts. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be pieces and parts from every different brand to become great.
Yeah.
And that's what I want from our program. That's what I want from our coaches. That's what I want from our kids. Is to build greatness through our community, not just basketball players, but great young men.
Yeah.
Because once you start building great young men, they're investing into other great young men who are investing into other great young men, and that becomes a cycle rather than it being hate and it being guys, like I said, ending up in jail, doing stuff they don't need to be doing.
Yeah. So what's next as far as the program? When is your next tryouts and stuff like that?
So we will actually be hosting our first set of tryouts January 6th at what is now the new Cross Point Church on Old Mill Road in Cartersville, Georgia. And then we'll be hosting our second one January 13th at the Lake Point Sports Complex Center, the Champion Center, right there in Emerson. So if you follow these guys on social media, you follow me or E, anybody who is affiliated with our Georgia Grizzlies, flyers have been posted. They're going up. We'll have some more flyers in the newspapers. We'll have flyers up throughout different counties, hitting a lot of the schools in Bartow County. That's one of the big things I do in my recruiting process is I take a photo to every coach in Bartow County and I say, "Hey coach, can you give these out to your guys?" Just so we can have the best of the best come out and a big pool to pull from.
Yep.
That's our main thing. Like I said, is imprint as many kids as possible.
And what do your trials consist of? Is it like a lot of fundamentals or like
we do a little of both. We do some skill training to start off to see realistically who mentally can take what we do.
Yep.
Like I said, we put our kids in some crazy pressure moments and just in starting in tryouts, because I can read your body language. I can read how you're feeling, the things that you say, how you communicate with your teammates, how you don't communicate with your teammates. I can read that kind of stuff and tell you if you are a good fit for what we have, because if not, you're not. It's not that you're wasting our time. You end up wasting your own time. You're wasting your parents' time, your parents' money. It's not cheap to play for us. We do, we travel different states. We do nationals. We are, a high quality team. And with us being part of the Team Adidas teams, we offer a lot of stuff for our players and our parents.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, the only people you're really hurting are yourself and your parents. Me and Coach have had our time to play. Our basketball legacy is what it is. We can't rewrite it. But all we can do is help you guys write your next stepping stone in your book.
That's right.
So, and that's one of the main goals is just making sure that they understand that.
Well, regular season we'll be in. We can't do AAU. We not there yet. We not on that level.
But I mean, it's hard to say though. It's hard because there's a lot of kids who have never picked up a basketball that they come and they come do a training session with us, and we look at these kids like, yo, this kid could be a star.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even they're just naturally given, And that's.
Well, then let me know. I'll come out to tryouts. We'll bring them out there and see what y'all think about it.
And that's exactly what I was telling her the other day at the charity basketball tournament. We was talking. I forgot what we were talking about, but I was saying how like growing up, like when I first started, nobody trained me. Like when I picked up a ball,
Me either.
Yeah.
4 years old, playing in Marietta with the Road Runners.
Yeah.
Nobody trained me. I seen her playing.
Yeah.
And then that next year, I said, this is what I want to do. I got out
did
there.
the same thing with track
and I
too.
did it. Nobody like my mom didn't sit out there and train me.
You go to
you know
practice
what I'm
and you go to games. You
Yeah.
come home. You're lucky if coming from situations like us. You're lucky to have a basketball goal near you. If you got one near you, that's all we did.
We stayed at the top park all the time
That's
on
it.
the hill.
Every day. And
That's it.
yeah, it's good, you know, playing that, having that fun park play, but a lot of people don't understand when you just play pickup, all you do is practice the same bad habits you already have. Instead of, and that's the difference, we didn't have those trainers who say, no, you're doing this wrong.
Yeah.
Even if it's the little step, the little stuff.
It goes a long way.
Without a doubt.
See, and with Javen, like, even with him, like, being at Dillinger, he, we was out there just playing, like, one-on-one with the kids, and he's like, Mom, I want to know how to do, because I did a layup. How do I do that? I said, you dribble. You can't double dribble. If you pick it up, that's a double dribble. So dribble, pick it up, 1-2 steps, but when you, whatever hand you're shooting with, go off of the, you know, put that leg in the air, go off the opposite leg. And he's like this? And so now when he does it, he's like, 1, 2. I did it, Mom. 1, 2.
Exactly.
You know, so
And
he picked that up real quick.
And a lot of parents, you know, this is the problem we have with some parents, is that they don't reinforce the stuff that the kids are learning.
So we give them homework.
Yeah, without a doubt. After every practice, you're giving homework from our coaching staff, and if you come to the next practice without your homework, there are consequences. There are.
I like that.
You know, we teach them about responsibility before any player even is allowed to make our team.
That's what's
They sign a contract saying that they will have all A's and B's. Every C you have, you sit a quarter. If you have an F when you are on our team, at any point, you have 3 weeks to bring your grades up or you dismissed. To us, like I said, it's not just about bringing up great basketball players. We're trying to bring up great men. And it starts with, if you can't listen to higher authorities in the classroom, what are you going to do when you do have more freedom as an adult?
Exactly.
People don't understand, even though we are adults, there's always a higher authority.
Man.
Always a higher authority.
You're not used to that. You get to college, it's over with.
Yeah,
So,
you go to college, you graduate from college, you go get a job. Guess what? You got a boss, unless you own your own company.
Yep.
You
There's always somebody above you.
At the end of the day, guess what? We're
About respect. Life is about respect.
without a doubt. There's the police officers, there's the president. You know, there's always higher authority than yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You always have to answer somebody else. For those of you who are believers, there's God. You know, there's a higher authority than yourself.
Exactly.
So we try to instill that in them now, to where they understand that your higher authorities love the ones who stand out in a good way.
Yeah, and I feel like all the parents that's listening to this, that this program is really like a blessing, because growing up, my mom didn't have that. I played sports. She she could make sure I played sports, but we didn't have the funds to go out and get that extra training from that that specific coach, like the Quintons and the Emanuels and the Nics. You know what I'm saying? So being a part of this program, you get that. You know what I'm saying? You get a manual that comes with that, that's played overseas, that's did that and really, you know, grinded. You get Quentin that does the trust the process and all that. So
and he played. Quentin played travel.
Football,
arena
football,
yeah.
You know, you playing on these programs, you getting all that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta pay to play the game, or play for the team, and then pay to have extra training, because you got them guys there with you already. And like I said, that's a blessing, because growing up we didn't have it. We just played on the team.
That's what we try to do, man. That's what we try to give to the parents.
Yep.
Is you know, we are in the gym almost 7 days a week between me and E.
Yeah.
You know, working with different kids, practices. You know, we constantly stay in the gym. We're gym rats. You know, we don't know anything else but to be a gym rat. So, you know, for us to put out good quality, you have to form other gym rats.
And you got regular jobs too. So
Yep, without
you
a doubt.
have no time.
Exactly.
So, you know, you got to make your sacrifices and take your L's to when you have to take them, to take your dubs when you need to take your dubs.
A calculated L.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, and that's part of building your brand, building your business. You know, people think that this business, McDonald's became a multi-million-dollar business overnight.
Oh, no.
Have y'all seen that movie, The Founder?
Yes.
I did. I seen that movie.
You know what I mean?
Like that.
People don't understand that before McDonald's became McDonald's, they took a lot of losses.
Very true.
They took a lot of losses.
A
You
lot
know,
of losses.
We watched that in class.
and that's in anything, bro. To be a businessman, which is another thing we bring to our table. You know, E being the financial guy, we teach business to our guys as well, because yes, you learn some right stuff in school, but they don't teach you finances. They don't teach you how to file your taxes.
Yeah.
They don't teach you how to budget to survive in life.
Yes.
And then you wonder why kids are going to jail for debt, credit card frauds,
Man.
signing bad checks.
Yeah.
They're not taught that.
Exactly.
They're not taught that. You know, they're not taught how to really survive in society.
Facts.
And that's one of the things that we bring. We're not basketball coaches, we're life coaches.
There you go.
Everything we use in basketball, we teach it from a life perspective.
Yes.
Man,
Yep.
it's life.
And that's what it is. You know, if you're doing something and you can't relate it back to life, why are you doing it?
That's what's up, man. Well, Look, y'all what, 5 years in with the program? You're 5 years in?
6 actually.
6?
This year will be our going on 7th year.
Where do you see yourself 5 or 6 more years from now with the program? How do you see the program being?
Hopefully 5 or 6 years from now, we have already sent some kids off to college. My first year team I actually have kids who had college offers that decided to turn them down and just go to school to focus on grades. Out of my first 11 kids I had, we had 10 of them who are all college attendants right now.
That's good.
I can see us having at least 3 Division I basketball players for Rice College.
Oh, without a doubt.
Just from eyeballing them this year.
Without a doubt, and that's the main thing is we want to put as many kids into college as possible. And whether it's because a lot of kids don't have the people backing them on their school. So with being in a program and the school having them locked, with being in our program and us saying you have to have these grades, it's making sure that even if they don't get a basketball scholarship, they're going to get a financial aid for grades. So that's
it's a well-rounded
exactly.
plus.
Exactly.
Like it's a good outcome either way it goes. That's great.
I love that, man.
too.
This is great knowledge, man. We really appreciate y'all coming on, man. Spreading that.
Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate y'all.
I love what you guys are doing, by the way.
Without a doubt.
We appreciate it.
Without a doubt.
Y'all got any social media or anything y'all want to shout out? Your Instagram, anything for people to follow?
Yeah, you can
your
actually
programs?
follow us on all platforms at Georgia Grizzlies. Shout out to Coach Q's team. They have their separate Instagram page at Georgia Grizzlies 2027/2028.
Okay.
Is Georgia spelled out or is it just GA?
For the Facebook, you will just go GA. We're in the process of restructuring our Facebook page right now.
Yep.
But as far as Instagram, everything is spelled. Or for our older teams, it is GA. But for Coach Quint's team, it is spelled out Georgia Grizzlies.
Okay.
Shout out to all of our younger guys that are on IG right now.
Yeah.
They getting crazy numbers, crazy followers, crazy likes on the IGs and the Facebooks. We'll have our webpage up before actually the first week of January. We'll have our website up right after the 1st of January. We also have our our Snapchat page up to where you're able to watch live game film.
Oh, that's what's up.
Us interacting, stuff that we do because we do a lot of community stuff as a team. We do a lot of family bonding stuff. That we want a lot of people to see, to realize that we're not just your typical travel ball program. We're trying to set ourselves aside from everybody else.
Yeah. Well, man, we appreciate y'all coming through.
Yes.
We appreciate everything y'all
y'all.
gave us today, all the knowledge. Of course, we gotta shout out Jack Rip for letting us use the studio. Always gotta shout out Jack
Y'all
Rip.
got to come back with some of y'all's players.
Players, yeah. Bring y'all players on here. Let them get that. Let them get on
some
here.
shine, yeah.
Without a doubt.
Definitely, man.
We'll get them in here, man.
I'm gonna bring D Wilk up here because that's where we record and get in my bag. So
Okay.
bring D
Bet.
Wilk
I'm
up
glad
here.
to do that.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, that concludes another episode of Straight to the Point. We got Cooker Man E, Nick Tyler in here.
Yeah.
And until next time, we out of here.
We appreciate y'all.